Albarda Garden has been created with preservation of the environment a priority. Maintained with reduced water consumption, native plants and trees, beautiful all the year round, and without the use of insecticides, herbicides and fertilizers, which cause soil contamination. A garden where insects, birds, bees, reptiles and amphibians can access the actively encourage a biological balance. Located in the prestigious residential area of Relleu, Albarda has become a model of excellence in the world of Mediterranean gardens, demonstrating the great richness of the flora that thrive in this climate. The garden covers an area of 50,000 square metres and boasts more than 700 species of native plants, as well as an extensive collection of roses and palm trees. A hidden gem, it has become the best introduction to the Enrique Montellú Fundum, which leads natural patronage in Spain. In addition to its botanical biodiversity, Albarda has a formal garden, orchards and wild gardens, recreating the ancient Renaissance gardens of Valencia, widely influenced by Arab culture. Visitors are transported to ancient times as they wander the walkways, pergolas, and areas of outstanding natural beauty. Enrique Montellú founded the garden in 1990 in a place where there was nothing in the 1980s. When he was working and travelling as chemical engineer and businessman, he visited gardens around the world. Back home in Spain, he was concerned that increasing urbanization projects would see the demise of the natural landscape, and with it, its flora and fauna. One such place is the La Sella area between Javier and Denia in the Marina Alta. The protected Montgo Natural Park, very much part of the rhythm of life in this area. A new golf course project in the vicinity meant urban development was moving apace. In this area, he purchased 50,000 square metres of land to make his dream of building a house and with a natural, sustainable garden come true. And not just any house, but one in the Renaissance style, like the ones he had seen in Carcassonne, Alzira and Naquera. It took him 10 years to get it and finish it. Then he began to shape the garden. He took advice from botanists and landscapers, such as Juanjo Todoli, then a young agronomist known and awarded for his work, orientated to the use of native plants in public gardening. Several years later, he tentatively opened the garden to visitors on the last Saturday morning every month. In those early days, finding the garden amongst the maze of urbanization was difficult and unpromising. Early days certainly, yet well underway to become the glorious garden it is today. The reputation of this project spread, and soon he was able to form the Fundum Foundation. More about the Fundum later. For the Fundum project, Montellú invested his personal assets. He opened the garden daily, organised guided tours, built an environmental education centre for workshops with a botanical nursery in the wild part of the garden, and then followed the now highly popular intimate garden concerts. The aim of the garden is to demonstrate the diversity of the flora that thrive in this beautiful climate in each season, and importantly managed with the strictest sustainability criteria, consuming little water and still less chemical products. A model that can be implemented for the restoration of gardens, either public or private. Albarda's natural landscape quality was recognised by the Polytechnic University of Valencia, awarded with the Master of Landscaping in 2002. It is worth visiting the garden throughout the year, since there are many flowering plants per season, and you will always find yourself in a world of colour and perfume. As soon as you go through the entrance, you enter a green avenue of tall cypress, leading directly to the house. A grand, deep rose terracotta Palladian-style villa covered in ivy, with stairways on either side. Through them you can access a large terrace with spectacular views of the Mongo Natural Park. In front of the main facade, a large swimming pool surrounded by a formal garden with carefully shaped trees that give it a touch of harmony to the whole. The garden combines both the old formal gardens of the Valencian Renaissance period with Arab influences and wild gardens. In the lush green surroundings, the sophisticated architectural structure of the garden stands out. Pergolas, gazebos, beautiful fountains and temples decorate the garden like they did in the old gardens of nobles and kings. Take any of the paths that enter the lush vegetation and be surprised. Montilud himself designed the secrets of this plant labyrinth, in which we find a wild garden with a stream fed by groundwater alongside which grow alders, ferns, pomegranates and home oaks, among other species. Follow its course, we arrive at a forest where you can see the oldest tree in the place, an 80-year-old cork oak. Another essential stop is the Shade House. Its outstanding Portuguese design houses palm trees, ferns and other tropical plants, and an unusual cobblestone floor. Discover a large deep pool with white water lilies native to the Margel de Pego, stone seating set into rock for restful shady reflection. Blending into the background landscape, he built an artificial large rockery made up of thousands of kilos of limestone covered with plants mostly native to the Mongo Natural Park. A small waterfall drops into a pond below, full of colourful fish, encouraging insects, frogs, newts and salamanders to help balance their biological area and reduce pests. Aquatic-loving plants edge the pond. Dry, bare rock areas, intimate places to rest or just to be and take in the landscape. Remarkably, nothing urban is visible in what is a densely urban area. Monet said that you should always consider the landscape beyond your own. It is part of your garden too. Giving way to a flatter area, trellises smothered in white Himalayan roses, opening to distant long countryside views and the ever-present Montgo. The jasmine walk between myrtle hedges passes through the Arab garden with its essential orange and lemon orchards. Travertine stone balustrades lead to a square with benches and a large fountain, where the sound of water invites you to stop along the way. Tiled paths edged with deep blue tiles, overhead shady pergolas covered in Leonardo da Vinci deep red roses, formal squares, borders edged with short hedges of clipped myrtle. Inside, orange and lemon groves, underplanted with tiny wild strawberries, in season, their sweet perfume delicious. Rest a while in intimate gardens with cool Arab-style fountains and the air fragrant with citrus blossom and jasmine. Discover terracotta and marble statues and large ceramic pots filled with bright bougainvillea. Admire the long, magnificent trenzadas, a mosaic of broken ceramic tiles designed by the versatile Valencian artist Cento Juste, decorated with pictures of tortoise, snake, lizard and gecko which inhabit the garden. Walk its length or sit a while, moving on to the hidden low building used for horticultural conferences, lectures for plant students, and behind this, the plant nursery and wild garden with beehives. Return back to the villa where the tall, close-clipped cypress guard the shady area where you can sit down to reflect and maybe purchase some light refreshment served from the kitchen. Open every day. By arrangement, guided tours are conducted in various languages. Peruse the programme for the very popular garden concerts. This plus membership and donations to the Fundum provides money for their other land projects. Fundum has 3 main lines of action. 1. Dissemination and promotion of the use of native species in gardening, of special interest from the ecological point of view and the conservation of nature. Albarda is an example to follow in the implementation or restoration of gardens, either public or private, if we want to preserve the great biodiversity of our community, as well as contribute to curbing climate change at a global level. 2. Responsible management of the territory, purchase and custody of land, high ecological interest for its integral conservation. Currently, there are 12 projects of lands protected by Fundum. An example. Fundum owns an area of more than 240 hectares in Tinnica de Benifaça, one of the areas with the greatest ecological value in the Valencian community. This property was acquired in 1997 when there was no protection on this space. The General Directorate for Sustainable Development, the Ministry of the Environment, declared a hunting refuge and subsequently 3 flora micro-reserves created attached to the LIFE project of the conservation of flora for the Valencian community. And in 2005 it was declared a wildlife reserve. Today it is part of the Tinnica de Benifaça Natural Park, Castellón, Spain. 3. The promotion of donations of large gardens and their architectural heritage that, due to their artistic or historical value, deserve to be preserved and that constitute an important tourist and cultural attraction in our country for the enjoyment of citizenship. Green custody. In Spain, conservation management is basically public, but more and more private entities that guard the conservation of the territory are emerging. Fundum purchases lands in different habitats and gives them to the custody of their territory to environmental groups and collaborators. Another example of the work of Fundum, Mugica, Basque Country. Fundum has purchased 130,000 square metres of woodland on which there was a timber pine plantation and whose previous owners intended to remove it to introduce a more economically profitable eucalyptus. The total amount paid, €46,843. Together with the Relleu Foundation, which owns lands adjacent to the acquired plot and which will take over the custody of this new land, Fundum will plant a beech forest. The intention is to transform this property together with the custodian's lands into an indigenous forest, which, thanks to the rainfall of the area in a few years, will become a splendid forest. So you see, Enrique Montilú not only achieved his beautiful villa and conservation garden project, Albarda, he founded the Fundum to help preserve land of environmental importance in the Valencian community and beyond.